The bride disappeared 7 minutes before the wedding. Not after the vows. Not during the reception. 7 minutes before she was supposed to become the wife of the most feared mafia boss in South Korea. And nobody dared tell him. The wedding hall looked like something from a royal dream. Crystal chandeliers. White roses imported from France. Hundreds of guests from Seoul's elite families. Politicians. Business executives. Judges. Celebrities. Every person in the room knew who the groom was. Kang Min-Jae, 34 years old. Chairman of the Black Tiger Syndicate. A man whose enemies disappeared without warning. A man whose allies became powerful. A man who never forgave betrayal. At exactly 4:53 p.m., Min-Jae stood in a private room adjusting the cuffs of his black suit. His expression was calm, cold, controlled. The kind of control that frightened people more than anger ever could. His right-hand man, Park Hyun-woo, suddenly entered the room. He looked pale, very pale. Min-Jae noticed immediately. What happened? Silence. Hyun-woo swallowed. Chairman. The hesitation alone was dangerous. Min-Jae slowly lifted his eyes. What happened? The bride is missing. The room became silent. Dead silent. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody spoke. Then Min-Jae smiled. Which was somehow worse. Missing? Yes, Chairman. Explain. Security footage appeared on a tablet. At 4:41 p.m., Seo-Yeon walked out of the bridal suite, still wearing her wedding gown, still carrying her bouquet. Then she entered a service elevator and vanished. No car, no phone, no bodyguards, nothing. Gone. The smile disappeared from Min-Jae's face. The room suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. Find her. His voice was soft. Hyun-woo knew exactly what that meant. Every member of the syndicate knew. When Min-Jae spoke softly, someone usually suffered. Within minutes, hundreds of men began searching Seoul. Airports, train stations, hotels, bus terminals, hospitals. Nothing. Seo-Yeon had vanished. The headlines exploded the next morning. Bride runs away from billionaire groom. Wedding scandal rocks Seoul elite. Mystery disappearance before high-profile marriage. Nobody mentioned the Mafia connection. Nobody was foolish enough. For 3 months, Min-Jae searched. 3 months. No answers. No clues. No sign of her. Then he stopped looking. At least that was what everyone believed. The truth was much darker. Min-Jae never stopped. He simply became quieter about it. And quieter was always more dangerous. 3 months later, rain poured over the streets of Seoul. Seo-Yeon adjusted her face mask and hurried through a narrow alley. She no longer looked like the woman from the wedding photos. Her long black hair had been cut short. Her expensive dresses were gone. The diamond engagement ring had been sold weeks ago. The money barely covered rent. She now worked 6 days a week at a wellness spa in Gangnam. Not because she wanted to, because she had no choice. Nobody knew her real identity. Nobody knew she was the runaway bride. Nobody knew she spent every night terrified, especially of one man, Kang Min-Jae. The truth was simple. She had never wanted to run. She had needed to. 3 days before the wedding, she discovered something. Something hidden. Something terrifying. A secret involving her father's business empire. A secret involving money laundering, corruption, and a list of dead witnesses. One name appeared repeatedly. Kang Min-Jae. At first she thought he was responsible. Then she learned the truth. Someone was using his organization without his knowledge. Someone powerful. Someone close to him. The moment she discovered it, people started following her. Strangers watched her apartment. Unknown numbers called her phone. A man tried to break into her office. She panicked. On the wedding day she fled. Because she believed marrying Min-Jae would get him killed. Or get her killed. Maybe both. Now she lived in a tiny apartment above a convenience store. Every morning she woke before sunrise. Every night she checked the locks 3 times. And every day she prayed nobody would recognize her. For 3 months, the prayer worked. Until Tuesday, the day everything collapsed. The spa was unusually busy. Businessmen, tourists, executives. Seo-Yeon spent the afternoon preparing treatment rooms and greeting clients. At 7:17 p.m., the receptionist suddenly froze. Several black luxury vehicles had stopped outside. Every employee noticed. The atmosphere changed instantly. The front doors opened. 6 men entered, all wearing black suits, all carrying themselves like soldiers. Conversation throughout the spa stopped. Nobody needed an explanation. Power had entered the building. Then he walked in. Kang Min-Jae. Seo-Yeon's blood turned to ice. For a second she couldn't breathe. 3 months. 3 months of hiding. And now he stood less than 20 feet away. Looking exactly as she remembered. Tall. Broad shoulders. Dark eyes. Dangerously handsome. Dangerously powerful. The kind of man who made entire rooms nervous simply by existing. Min-Jae removed his gloves. His gaze swept across the reception area. Employees lowered their eyes. Clients pretended not to stare. Then his eyes landed on her. Everything stopped. The room. The noise. The movement. All of it vanished. Seo-Yeon's heart slammed against her ribs. He knew. Somehow he knew. Min-Jae stared at her. Expressionless. Completely expressionless. Which frightened her more than anger. Because anger she understood. Silence was impossible to predict. The receptionist nervously approached. Chairman Kang, welcome. He didn't answer. His eyes never left Seo-Yeon. 1 second. 2 seconds. 5 seconds. Then he began walking toward her. Slowly. Deliberately. Like a predator approaching prey. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Seo-Yeon wanted to run. Again. But her legs refused. Min-Jae stopped directly in front of her. Close enough to see the tiny scar beneath his jaw. Close enough to smell expensive cologne and rain. Close enough to hear his breathing. The entire spa watched. Waiting. Terrified. His gaze moved over her face. The short hair. The plain uniform. The mask. The exhausted eyes. Then he reached up. Very slowly. And removed her face mask himself. Gasps filled the room. Several employees immediately recognized her. The runaway bride. The woman from every news article. The woman who humiliated the most feared man in Seoul. Seo-Yeon couldn't speak. Neither could anyone else. Min-Jae studied her face. For a long moment he said nothing. Then finally, you cut your hair. That wasn't what anyone expected. Not an accusation. Not a threat. Not anger. Just those 4 words. Seo-Yeon blinked. What? You cut your hair? His voice remained calm. Steady. Almost disappointed. The strange response confused her more than rage would have. She couldn't finish. Min-Jae glanced around the room. Everyone immediately looked away. Then he focused on her again. Come with me. No. The answer escaped before she could stop it. A dangerous silence followed. One bodyguard shifted uncomfortably. Another stared at the floor. Nobody told Kang Min-Jae no. Ever. Yet Seo-Yeon had just done exactly that. Min-Jae's eyes narrowed slightly. The smallest reaction. But enough to send fear through every person nearby. You disappeared. His voice was quiet. You ran from our wedding. Still quiet. I searched for 3 months. Even quieter. Then his gaze darkened. And now I find you working here. For the first time emotion appeared in his voice. Not anger. Something worse. Hurt. Real hurt. Seo-Yeon's chest tightened unexpectedly. Because beneath the power, beneath the danger, beneath the Mafia reputation, there was a man. A man she had almost married. A man she had abandoned without explanation. A man she had once loved. And judging by his expression, perhaps still did. Nobody in the spa moved. Nobody dared. Han Seo-Yeon stood frozen beneath Kang Min-Jae's gaze, while dozens of eyes watched from every corner of the room. 3 months ago she had run from their wedding. Now she was standing directly in front of the man she had left at the altar. And somehow, the anger she expected wasn't there. That frightened her more than rage ever could. Chairman. One of the managers nervously stepped forward. Min-Jae didn't even look at him. The poor man immediately stepped back. Seo-Yeon swallowed. You shouldn't have come here. A bitter smile appeared on Min-Jae's lips. I've been looking for you for 3 months. You should have stopped. I couldn't. The honesty in his voice caught her off guard. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence stretched between them. Heavy, complicated, dangerous. Finally, Min-Jae extended his hand. Come with me. Seo-Yeon shook her head. I can't. His expression hardened. Is someone threatening you? No. Are you in danger? No. Then tell me why you ran. She looked away. Because she couldn't answer. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Not when the wrong ears could get people killed. Min-Jae noticed her hesitation immediately. His eyes narrowed. Something clicked inside his mind. Someone was watching. Someone had frightened her badly enough to abandon everything, including him. Without another word, he removed his suit jacket and draped it around her shoulders. The gesture stunned everyone, including Seo-Yeon. You look exhausted. The softness in his voice hurt more than anger. She hated it. because part of her wanted to fall into his arms and tell him everything. But she couldn't. Not yet. Then chaos erupted. The front windows exploded. Glass shattered across the lobby. Screams filled the air. 3 masked gunmen stormed inside. Everything happened in seconds. People dropped to the floor. Employees ran for cover. Bodyguards reached for weapons. Min-Jae moved instantly. He grabbed Seo-Yeon and pulled her behind him. A gunshot echoed through the spa. Another. Then another. One of the attackers aimed directly at Seo-Yeon. Not Min-Jae. Her. Min-Jae saw it. His eyes became ice. Pure ice. The kind that made grown men pray. The first attacker never saw the punch coming. The second never reached the trigger. The third tried to escape. Bad decision. Within less than a minute, the attack was over. Terrified customers hid behind furniture. Bodyguards secured the building. Police sirens sounded in the distance. And Min-Jae stood over one of the surviving gunmen. "Who sent you?" The man refused to answer. Min-Jae's expression darkened. Then the attacker laughed. A nervous, broken laugh. "You still don't know." The words made the room go silent. Min-Jae grabbed him by the collar. "Know what?" The gunman looked directly at Seo-Yeon, then smiled. "Your fiancé was right to run." Min-Jae froze. The man continued. "The traitor is much closer than you think." Before anyone could stop him, the attacker bit down on something hidden in his mouth. Poison. Within seconds he collapsed. Dead. The room became silent. Seo-Yeon's blood ran cold, because she recognized the symbol tattooed on his wrist. The same symbol she had seen in her father's secret files. The same symbol connected to every murder, every bribe, every disappearance. The Black Serpent. And the Black Serpent was inside Min-Jae's organization. An hour later, they sat inside Min-Jae's penthouse overlooking Seoul. The city lights glittered below. Rain continued falling against the windows. Seo-Yeon wrapped both hands around a cup of tea. Min-Jae sat across from her, waiting, patiently, for the truth. She finally took a deep breath. 3 days before the wedding, I found documents in my father's office. Min-Jae remained silent. I wasn't looking for anything. What documents? She opened her purse. A flash drive appeared. Min-Jae's eyes sharpened. I copied everything. What was on it? Money laundering records. He nodded. That doesn't explain why you ran. It does. She looked directly at him. Because your name was everywhere. Min-Jae's expression changed. Only slightly. But she saw it. You thought I was involved. At first, she swallowed. Then I kept reading. The room became quiet. What did you find? Fear appeared in her eyes. The transactions were signed using your authority. Min-Jae's jaw tightened. But the signatures were forged. His eyes darkened instantly. Continue. There were payments made through shell companies. She hesitated. There were also witness reports. What kind of reports? Reports involving murders. The word landed heavily. Min-Jae leaned back slowly. For several seconds he didn't speak. Then, you realized someone inside my organization was operating without my knowledge. Yes. And you ran. I thought if I told you directly, whoever was responsible would kill us both. Min-Jae stood. He walked toward the window. For the first time since she met him, he looked tired. Not weak. Not defeated. Just tired. After a long silence, he finally spoke. You should have trusted me. Seo-Yeon's eyes filled with tears. I know. The honesty surprised both of them. Min-Jae turned. Their eyes met. 3 months of pain sat between them. 3 months of unanswered questions. 3 months of heartbreak. Slowly, he walked toward her. Closer. Closer. Until only inches separated them. Do you know what I thought? His voice was quiet. She shook her head. I thought you never loved me. The words hit harder than any accusation. Because they weren't angry. They were wounded. Seo-Yeon's tears finally fell. I loved you. His expression flickered. Barely. But she saw it. I still do. The confession hung in the air. Neither moved. Neither breathed. Then Min-Jae gently lifted her chin. His thumb brushed away a tear. So do I. The words shattered the wall she had built for months. Without thinking, she stepped forward. Into his arms. For the first time in 3 months, she felt safe. His arms wrapped around her immediately. Protectively. Possessively. As if he never intended to let go again. Outside, the storm continued. Inside, neither wanted the moment to end. But danger wasn't finished with them yet. Because downstairs, in the underground garage, one of Min-Jae's most trusted executives was secretly making a phone call. A call that would change everything. Chairman Kang knows. The voice on the other end became tense. How much? Enough. Silence. Then a cold response. Then kill them both. The executive ended the call and smiled. Because after 10 years of loyalty, he had finally become what nobody expected. The traitor. The real leader of the Black Serpent. And he was already planning the deaths of both Kang Min-Jae and Han Seo-Yeon. The war had finally begun. We'll see you on the next one. Have a lovely evening.